Picture this. Everything is going wrong. The hunt keeps failing. 3 people got sick in the same week. A child broke their leg for no reason. Lightning struck the food storage. And then someone in the tribe says it, quickly, almost under their breath. It's them. Everyone knows exactly who they mean. Nobody says the name out loud, but everyone is already looking in the same direction. Here's a question that sounds like it belongs in a horror movie, but it doesn't. It belongs in anthropology textbooks, archaeological digs, academic journals. Did ancient tribes actually have a cursed person? Someone the whole group silently blamed when things went wrong? Someone whose presence was treated like a warning sign? Someone who woke up one day and realized, without anyone telling them, that they had become the reason? The answer is yes. And the story of how it happened is one of the most deeply human things you will ever hear. Let's establish something first. Ancient humans lived in groups of roughly 25 to 150 people. In a group that small, everyone knows everything about everyone. There are no strangers, no anonymity, no hiding. If something goes wrong, and something always goes wrong, the question of why gets answered by the people standing closest to you. And the human brain, brilliant, pattern-obsessed, completely unable to accept randomness, does not land on bad luck as a final answer. It lands on a person. Always, every time. Now here's where it gets interesting, because the cursed person in an ancient tribe was not chosen randomly. There was a type. Anthropologists studying tribal cultures across Africa, the Americas, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific Islands found the same pattern repeating across completely unconnected societies. The person who got blamed, who became the tribe's living explanation for everything bad, almost always fit one of 3 profiles. Profile 1, the person who was already different, someone born with a visible physical difference, someone who survived something nobody else survived, someone who behaved slightly outside the group's normal patterns, too quiet, too isolated, too strange. Ancient humans were extraordinarily sensitive to difference, not out of cruelty, out of survival. In a world where one sick animal could wipe out a herd, one infected person could spread death through a tribe of 30, difference was a signal worth paying attention to. The problem is, the brain doesn't stop at noticing difference. It connects difference to outcome. That person is different. Bad things keep happening. Therefore, the brain fills in the rest. Profile 2, the person who arrived at the wrong time, a stranger who joined the tribe recently, someone who moved from another group, and then shortly after they arrived, something went wrong, doesn't matter what. Drought, disease, a failed hunt. The timing is enough. The human brain is a correlation machine. It doesn't need causation. It needs sequence. This happened. Then that happened. That's sufficient. The newcomer becomes the explanation. Profile 3, the person who was already low status, the one who had no strong alliances, no powerful family members, nobody who would loudly defend them. In a group of 150 people, blame needs somewhere to land that won't cause a fight. Blaming the tribe leader's brother costs you something. Blaming the person nobody is particularly attached to costs nothing. And so the curse lands where it always lands throughout all of human history, on whoever can least afford to resist it. But here is the part that changes everything. The cursed person almost always knew, not because someone told them, because the signs were unmistakable. People stopped making eye contact. Conversations went quiet when they walked past. Children were pulled away. Food was shared last, or no announcement. No accusation. Just a slow, suffocating silence that communicated everything. And what did the cursed person do? In many documented cases, they stayed not because they couldn't leave, because leaving confirmed it. Walking away from the tribe was an admission. Staying, showing up every day, eating last, sleeping at the edge of camp, being the first one out in bad weather was the only argument they had. I am still here. I am still trying. I am not what you think I am. Now let's talk about what happened when the bad luck stopped, because here is the part nobody tells you. When things got better, when the rains came back, when the hunt succeeded, when the sick recovered, the curse didn't just disappear. In many tribal cultures, the resolution of a crisis was interpreted as evidence that the curse had been dealt with, not that the curse was wrong, that it had run its course, which meant the cursed person was still the cursed person, just temporarily inactive. One more bad hunt, one more sick child, one more drought, and the silence would start again. There is a 12,000-year-old archaeological site in Turkey called Çatalhöyük, one of the earliest known human settlements ever found. Researchers found something unusual in the burial patterns. Most individuals were buried carefully, inside the homes, under the floors, surrounded by personal objects. A sign of deep community belonging even in death, but a small number were buried differently, outside the settlement, separated, with no objects, no care, no marker, not abandoned, deliberately placed apart. Archaeologists believe these may represent individuals who were socially excluded during their lifetime. The exclusion didn't end at death, it followed them into the ground. In 2010, anthropologist David Gilmour published a cross-cultural study of what he called the scapegoat mechanism in pre-modern societies. The findings were stark. In times of collective stress, drought, disease, conflict, food scarcity, virtually every studied society developed an identifiable scapegoat figure, not because the people were cruel, because the alternative was chaos. If the cause of suffering is unknown, panic spreads, trust breaks down, the group fractures. But if the cause has a face, the group stays together, united against the explanation. The cursed person wasn't just a victim, they were, in a horrifying, deeply human way, a social function. The thing the tribe pointed at, so they didn't have to point at each other. And here is the sentence that will stay with you. This never stopped. We just got better at hiding it. The colleague everyone subtly blames when a project fails, even though nobody says it directly. The new person who joins a friend group right before it falls apart and never quite gets let back in. The family member everyone quietly agrees is the reason things are difficult, without ever having a conversation about it. The person in any group who absorbs the tension so everyone else doesn't have to. René Girard, one of the most important social theorists of the 20th century, spent his entire career arguing that the scapegoat mechanism is not a historical curiosity. It is the foundation of human social organization. That groups have always needed someone to blame, that the identity of that person is almost always arbitrary, and that the mechanism works. It genuinely reduces group tension, which is exactly why it never went away. So did ancient tribes have a cursed person? Yes, but not because curses are real, because groups are. Because when 25 people are cold and hungry and scared and confused, the most available painkiller in human history is a reason. And reasons need faces. The cursed person was never the problem. They were the solution, the tribe's solution, to a pain the tribe didn't know how to carry together. And if you've ever been in a room where something went wrong and felt every head turn just slightly in your direction, you already know exactly what this felt like. You've always known, slow down, think a little.